So we have got the front of the bed in, and we've got the cutout for the fridge that's going in the middle, and we've done a little step down at this end, and this bit, that's because we're not having cabinets on this side. I always leave one side without cabinets just because of comfort. When you sat in bed, you can chill, you can get up, sit up in bed, or even at night, so you've got a good amount of room to be able to move about, sit up and lay down and stuff like that. So this side's not having it, that's the access, and you're crawling that way. So this side, I've told you before, full length of cabinets, so I'm keeping this a little bit higher. You'll still be able to access in this side from the big bench if you require. So it's not that you have to go in this side, but that is sort of the main bit. We've started doing a little bit of electrics at the back, so that is the 230 volt system, and we started putting that in. I'll come back to that shortly because we're going to do a little bit more electrics. Just wanted to get this bit done first. We've now, because we've got this bit, we've been able to do the backboard, which you've just seen in the time lapse. We've just carpeted that, so that was very basic. We just measured what size we wanted, and then we've put that in. That's a 12mm actually, back piece, because we don't need 18mm on that. We just sort this round because this is very, very sturdy, but it's just a little bit of extra height. It just covers the bottom of the curtains, and also when this wooden bench is made along here, when you move the backrest away to get more width on this third sleeping area, you're still going to have this carpet, so it's actually going to feel better against your skin. It's not going to be a wooden back, so it's not going to feel cold or anything like that. So that's the reason I've carpeted this. Also blends in with the rest of the van. So that's that piece done. We can now build off of that with the seating bit, and then build off of that with the kitchen bit, or vice versa. So I've just put the lights on to show you everything. So we've got the lights going here. We've got the LED strip lights under there. They're just more for effect than anything. So yeah, we've got them there, and then all the cables. These are all the switches, so that's just a temporary switch panel that I put in just to get the lights working and whatnot. And we've also, I forgot to tell you, we've also put in the this. It's a wet room flooring, and it's grey. It's got little bits of glitter in, a little bit sparkly, but it's very hard wearing. And I wanted an hard wearing surface for the rear garage area, because we'll be throwing in boxes or whatnot, things in and out of there. So I wanted hard wearing there. I wanted a bit more of a nicer flooring in this area, so that's just the normal like lino flooring, but wood effect. So yeah, so we've got like separate living area, garage area, different flooring, separation. So that'll look really nice when the fridge is in there and it's fully separated, and the bed and the mattress, blah blah blah. I think I'm going to start doing some electrics for the rest of today, rather than start cutting a load of wood, but I'm not 100%, so whatever happens next on this video is what I'm doing. But I'm going to make a decision in a minute. So let's see what happens. My diploma is my avatar. Like a sitting duck, I was the perfect target. Nothing to lose, no close to the ways of the world. Never arrested my friend on pumped up charges. Said he violated a no for breaking the mold. before we start on the rest of this electrical system, which is going to go down this section here, I've already done the RCD. I've already put that unit in. That is on the side of this vehicle, that point there. And then on the inside towards the back, I've got all my trips here. It's my RCD, and these are my two MCBs. Now this is a big thing at the minute, so all this changed I think 12 months ago or something like that. These MCBs have to be double pole, and this RCD has to be a type A. Now I'll put the symbol up here to a type A RCD, and the symbol is like a deep wave at the bottom and then a smaller curve at the top, and that's a type A. So basically it covers all different types of current that runs through it, and also with the double pole and things like that, you're sort of protected against reverse polarity. It's also earthed here. This isn't tightened up yet, but it's also earthed. I don't know if you can see through there. Now it has to be on a separate point to your other grounds of the vehicle. We've got that as consumer unit, and we've got two sockets on here. So one's 6 amp and one's 16 amp. So then our 6 amp one, this one will be for the battery charger, and this one will be for the inverter for the sockets. So we'll plug into that and we'll extend to the sockets, and we'll plug into this, and that'll go to the bus bar on here, which will charge the battery once we're plugged in. So the rest of this bit down here now, what I've done is I've made the panel, I've cut that out. Now that panel's now on the back, and now I'm going to do most of the electrical work onto the board while I'm stood up and not in the vehicle. And then we'll just make it look really nice and tidy. And then we're going to, once we've laid it all out and everything, we're going to carpet that board as well. So it's going to match in with that, and it's just going to look really nice going down the side of the van. So this is the board cut out. I've marked on here where the beams are, where the battens are, so we don't want to be drilling any holes along where the battens are, where this is going to fasten on. So we want to drill no holes, no access holes coming through. So every hole needs to be within here. We can fasten anything on top of this bit, but we can't be drilling holes because we need the gap between it. So I'm going to get all my gear out, and we'll just position everything where we sort of want it, where looks best, where fits best. Managed to get this laid out yesterday, so I'm happy with this now. I'll just quick run through everything that's on this board, and then we'll crack on with getting it wired up, and once it's wired up we can then transfer it into the van. So at this end, this is our solar shut off, so we can totally shut that off. So it's like a double pole shut off. It'll shut both the positive and negative cables off. We've then got us fuse board with the access points for the negatives and the positives each side. We've then got us DC to DC charger, this Renogy 50 amp, so that gives us 25 amps from the alternator and 25 amps from the solar. This is the main shut off from the actual alternator, so we can shut that off to stop it from charging if we need to. Then we've got a 1000 watt inverter, and then all this trunking around is just to neaten things up, so we don't have to be drilling loads and loads of holes through this board.
and bringing cables through, we can get most of the wiring done out of the van by running it through the trunking and around, and that's why we'll only need to pull in 1, 2, 3, 4 cables once we've connected everything up. So then just over here we've got this fuse junction box. So the inverter is going to go through this big main fuse down to this shut off, which will shut everything off. That'll shut all your lighting, your inverter and everything off. That'll come through here and down into a fuse, which is basically just protecting the cable between the battery and this main fuse board. Then down here we've got the shunt, and then this is the negative bus bar, so that's going to have cables running through into that, which will go to this and then back to the battery.
We've now got to get this board. We've now got to get this board up onto this back panel here. So what I've got to do, because these cables are absolutely massively long, they're all labelled up. I've now got to get these cut back because they're all going to be stored in this little section right there, just behind these battens. Right then, so all the electrics are basically done now, and there will be a few things to add onto this fuse box at some point, but I've tried to limit the amount of wiring I need to do to that, but I will need to come back to that. So we've connected up the solar, so this is the solar, so I can shut off the solar if I want. So that's now activated the DC to DC charger, which is a multi. It's solar and alternator charging, and this comes in its combined unit of 50 amps, 25 amps for solar, 25 amps from the alternator. So we can turn that off, and when we've got that turned off, that'll now give us 50 amps charging from the alternator with that turned off. But also it's nice to have a shut off to work on as well. We can shut off and on the alternator charging as well if we wish. We don't need to, but just again, it's something else. If we need to come and work on this, we can shut things off. So then we've got this fuse board there, and moving on, we've got the inverter. Now the inverter's all basically cabled up, wired up. The only bit that we need to add on here is the cable that basically goes in to this top socket that runs off there for the 230 volt. So, but we don't need that yet. That's just basically all there, hooked in, ready to go when we want to put some sockets in the van. So out of there we come into the positive bus bar and then the negative bus bar. So majority of stuff runs through these. I have added a few things to the battery this time rather than coming straight into this, but that purely just to neaten things up around here, because I do add wires coming in everywhere. The main power from
this bus bar. I'll just show you in here. Basically, they're the fuses. This is the inverter coming through the 150 amp. But if the inverter blows that fuse, then this power will still work through here into everything else. So if the inverter blows, we can still get lighting and stuff like that. So that then, let me just pop that back on, goes to a shut off switch there, and then comes down into the main fuse just before the batteries, and then the negative bus bar comes down again. This then goes into the batteries, but we've got a shunt on there. Now the actual monitor for this shunt is there. That's going to be placed up in a cupboard up there so we can see what's happening at a better level. But down here we've got two AGM batteries at 120 amp hours each. That will actually give us 120 amp hours because it's basically 50% of a lead acid or AGM. So, but it's still going to be enough for this vehicle. We've got the solar charging, we've got the alternator charging. It's going to be enough easily to do 3 days off grid, if not more. So then over consumer unit, we've added the charger down here. It's a Noco Genius 10 amp. That's charging the batteries now through the extension lead just going into the house. So we're just going to get them charged up while we can. Done that direct to battery. I normally do that to the bus bars and then just do everything through there, but again it was just, in this sense, it was neater to come from this to the batteries than to come from that up to the bus bars down to the batteries again. It was just a lot neater to do it that way, so we've gone direct to that. But yeah, that's about it on there until we then like move on to adding sockets throughout the van and stuff like that. All switches and everything's just going to be up there with the battery monitor, the inverter switch. Yeah, I think that's about it really. I think next stage is now possibly overhead storage. Get that done while I can stand up and access it. So I think I'm going to do the overhead storage, then do the bed, then do the seating area, then do the kitchen. I think that's the way I'm going to go now. That's it. Electrical side 90% done. So again, as always, thanks for watching. If you could click the like button or share the video, make a comment, let me know what you think, let me know if you want to see anything, if you want me to add anything to the videos and stuff like that. So just let me know, and I'll try my best to help out.